listening to Nightmare on Film Street. The current time is 6:66. Traffic is clear ahead from here to the afterlife, but it's hell outside. For the next hour, you're on Nightmare time. So, let's give a grave welcome to our hosts, John and Kim.
Hello again, fiends, and welcome to Nightmare on Film Street, horror for the casually obsessed. I'm Kim.
I'm John.
And this week, we're heading into the pumpkin patch, and we're talking Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, Stan Winston's Pumpkinhead. The man responsible for the animatronics behind some of your favorite movies, including Jurassic Park. Motherfucker came out and just directed a goddamn A-plus creature feature right at the gate.
Honestly, I think he just had this fucking creature design in his back pocket, and he was like, you know what? You guys aren't having this. I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah, this is one for me. One for the good guys.
And thus we got Pumpkinhead, which surprisingly for an original character is got a lot of lore and a lot of shit going on, and we're gonna get into it today. But John, if anybody out there has not seen Pumpkinhead,
Oh, this is unfair. I wanted to ask you this question.
we need 3 good things about Pumpkinhead.
Well, so, I mean, number one has to be that it is a animatronic monster movie directed by an animatronic monster genius. Like, I've kind of already said that in the beginning of this episode, but, you know, it goes without saying that a guy who had made his entire career on puppets and monsters like Pumpkinhead knows how to fucking shoot them. Number two, an incredible, emotional performance from Lance Henriksen. Like, the man is kind of the ultimate badass. You've seen him. Yeah, you've seen him as sort of like a 100-year-old vampire in Near Dark. He's practically a serial killer. He's a relatively emotionless robot in Aliens. He's the hardened military space guy in Screamers, which is a reference for maybe 5 people, but is like half my childhood spent watching that movie. Lance Henriksen is incredible in this movie. Just a father on a revenge mission, a supernatural revenge mission, which almost feels like a third thing right there. But number 3, Pumpkinhead is sassy. Pumpkinhead has so much personality.
I love that. I was going to say that if you didn't. Pumpkinhead is so sassy.
Yeah, he relishes the opportunity. Like this, it's like once every 50 years somebody comes knocking on his door and he's like, "Let's go!" Just cracks his knuckles and puts the gear on.
Full fucking Beetlejuice mode, ready to party. Pumpkinhead has tricks up. Does Pumpkinhead have sleeves? Pumpkinhead's arms. And yeah, he is ready to party. I fucking love all of the stunts he pulls in this movie, but we'll get into it.
Oh yeah, those are just 3 good things. There are 100 good things about Pumpkinhead, and I think a perfect movie to ring in the Halloween season. A Samhain scare, I believe, is what we're calling it. This is a double feature Kim has been looking forward to, especially because she finally got to force me to stop saying Samhain, which has it's been very hard to let go of.
I still say Samhain, and then I'm like, oh, fuck.
It's how it looks like it should sound.
Like, I'm not fucking Gaelic.
Before we get into it, though, Kim, real quick, what is keeping you creepy this week?
Well, I think we should talk a little bit off the top about Pearl. Everybody's been checking that one out. It just opened in theaters last weekend. That is the prequel to Ty West's X. It is a origin story of the villain, Pearl, and we watched it. It was adorable.
Yeah, so Mia Goth plays dual roles in X as the lead Maxine and also the villain Pearl, who's, 80 years old in that movie. But in this, she is a fresh-faced 22-year-old woman. And it has all the style of old-timey Hollywood. I mean, it's
real old-timey Hollywood. Like, we're talking 20s.
Yes, it's set in 1918, and it kind of looks a lot like The Wizard of Oz. Like, even the farm is sort of technicolored. It's got a lot of style to it. I think, personally, I liked it more than X.
I think I did, too.
It's a shame, because X is on paper, the coolest fucking movie ever made.
I know. I really wanted to love X, but that's a whole other ballgame. I really enjoyed Pearl for having not been totally wowed with X.
Yeah.
I will say that you can definitely watch Pearl whether or not you loved X.
Yes.
It's its own little movie, and it's the sweetest horror movie I think I've seen in a very long time.
We're also in the middle of covering Fantastic Fest. If you want to head over to nofspodcast.com to check out the reviews and interviews that we've been posting for that. We're on our way to the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival, so look out for reviews of that and just social media coverage of Kim's fucking world debut of Symphony. Can't fucking wait for Brooklyn to take in that horror anthology and to check out your segment in it.
It's kind of crazy to be like, oh, I have a feature film there. I only directed 7 minutes of it, but...
Yeah, but those 7 minutes.
I'm
Spooky.
really stoked. So yeah, we're going to be at Brooklyn Horror Fest. That kicks off October 13th. And then we should be possibly hitting up Nightmares Film Fest because Symphony is going to be playing there. And that goes from October 20th to 23rd. And that is in Columbus, Ohio, the Nightmares Film Fest. Symphony's playing there. And I haven't checked out the schedule yet, but I'm sure there's going to be tons of other cool stuff to check out. So we're going to try to swing on by maybe on our way home.
Yeah, and individual tickets are on sale for both of those. So if you want to come hang out with us, we're guaranteed to be at the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival. We're going to do our best to be at Nightmares.
If you haven't already, head over to nofspodcast.com/horror challenge to grab your 31-day horror challenge official challenge guide, where there are a whole bunch of different colors and options to choose from. If you haven't done it before, it's 31 days of horror movies. Every day we've put out a little cool prompt, and you have to pick a movie to watch that day. And then 31 days goes by, and boom, it's Halloween. So we do that every year. It's always so much fun. And there's also a huge giveaway over there for the Ultimate Horror Book Nook. So head over to nofspodcast.com/horror challenge to check it out.
Honestly, we could go on and on. It's Halloween season. We're officially in it. We are tailgating the #1 festival of the year, the #1 holiday of the year. Honestly, just like you can't swing a dead cat without finding something fun to do outside right now.
There's so much shit coming out next month that we're all going to be just vibrating with horror movies. Candy corn is going to be coming out of our ears.
Okay, well, honestly, we should just get into it. I'm ready. You ready?
Yup.
Let's talk Pumpkinhead.
Now it begins. Deep in the Appalachian Mountains, they say that an act of evil shall never go unpunished. There they tell of a creature who shall come from nowhere, born from the blood of the innocent, to hunt the guilty, and they call it Pumpkinhead. They are strangers here, and what began as harmless fun ended in tragedy, anger,
It was an accident.
and revenge.
It's what you wanted. You gonna stop? He's gotta run his course.
Now the spell has been cast. The terror is loose. The horror is here. Pumpkinhead.
Stan Winston's Pumpkinhead is currently sitting at a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 3.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Be honest here, John.
Yeah.
Confessional time. How many times do you think you've seen Pumpkinhead, and why was this the first time you've actually watched it?
Yeah, it's a VHS tape that we've put on a whole bunch, probably while putting up decorations or just getting shit done. It's got the vibe of Halloween, but I've never sat down and paid attention to it.
And it's a crime. Such a crime. I will say, though, that this was the first time I gave my full 100 attention to it, and I cried like 25 minutes.
Yeah, you can laugh at Pet Cemetery, like watching the little Gage get hit by a truck, but something about Pumpkinhead just like really tapped into you this time.
Why do they have to fucking show the kids so much?
Well, I think what gets you too is seeing Lance Henriksen react to it. Just like
He just loved his little boy. It was all he had in the world.
Yo, it's not even just like, oh, yeah, all of my dreams are hanging on this child. They have such a cool relationship at the beginning of the movie. Like, they are just best pals. He's like, I don't give a fuck about anything else in the world. It's just me and this kid. I guess his dog's along for the ride. We're just running our little fruit stand, living life.
Oh, and he's like strict but reasonable and fun and like everything you want a dad to be. Like, he's a little bit scary, but also like you can spray him with the hose.
Lance Henriksen's just like one of the best fucking actors ever.
Oh,
he gives that off in every role.
Once I started crying, I felt so bad for him that like I could have cried at any point during the film. Like, Pumpkinhead's off killing some teenagers, and I'm like, but Lance Henriksen's son died. I had to take a break and make a coffee halfway through because I needed just like a time away from the screen. I think I'm just getting really soft in my old age.
Yeah, that's maybe
That's like the third horror movie this year that's made me cry.
Whatever, so what? You're growing a heart in your old age. Big deal. You're shedding your skin a little bit. You're becoming more human. Congratulations, Kim.
Thank you. I've always appreciated this movie, mainly because Stan Winston, his directorial debut, Pumpkinhead, like the creature design.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Just fantastic. And this comes long before. Actually, it's so funny because we were talking about this yesterday because we did our first Spirit Halloween trip of the season. And it looks like Spirit is trying to make like regular characters. They have these shirts and promo items for, I think there's a clown and there's something else.
Yeah.
It might even be like a pumpkin monster.
Okay.
That they're trying to really push as like, oh, look at our original creatures and they're our IP and we don't have to pay anything for them.
Yeah.
But we've kind of seen a rise of that, like the creature creation of, say, like what Crypt TV does, where they make these monsters and then they're recurring and they're really scary. And I find that Pumpkinhead was kind of the first original creature, kind of not based on lore or anything, that was, I guess, totally sellable by just face value. Like, you could have sold just as many action figures of Pumpkinhead with or without a movie.
Yeah, he looks really fucking cool.
So fucking cool.
He looks like a nightmare that a Pokemon would have. Like, he does. He
like
does.
A Pokemon's final form.
Yeah, there were a few scenes where I having grown up with Pokemon, I was like, just the shadow of him. I'm like, this kind of looks like that Mewtwo guy, right? That's not.
Or like if a Xenomorph put on a Halloween costume.
Well, I mean, it does help. It does help that he's making like the Xenomorph sound, and he's got water dripping out of his mouth, just like a Xenomorph.
Just constantly. He's on full trickle.
Yeah, that Xenomorph sound is just like, it's like he's just the most evil cricket.
And the tail. I think it's the tail.
Well, the tail definitely
and
helps.
the long like head. I was gonna say like weenie shaped head, but
weenie shaped head. Can we say it's a pumpkin shaped head?
Is it though?
Not really. It's a gourd.
Oh, so I got in the thick of it with somebody on like Instagram. This was several years ago.
About?
I can't remember the post that I did. I did like a promo post for Nightmare about how like, like pumpkin horrors or whatever. And like I had one of those like keyboard warriors who was like, Pumpkinhead is not actually a pumpkin. And I was like, oh. Okay.
He's also not real.
This demonic entity that is shaped like a pumpkin and born of the pumpkin patch.
He's definitely got a little bit of pumpkin in him for sure, man.
He's at least chosen pumpkin. He like when he was scrolling through like Cher Horowitz in Clueless through his like fashion library of skins when he was coming down to Earth or up to Earth depending on where he's located. He was like, "Oh yeah, I totally choose the gourd." That's his yellow plaid.
For two people out there, that's going to be a real specific reference.
Well, they laughed, so I feel fine.
And I hope they loved it, yeah. I just love that he comes out of a pumpkin patch. I could give zero shits about what he actually looks like. If every monster movie...
Wait. Pumpkin patch and graveyard.
Oh, that's true. You have to go up to the old pumpkin patch graveyard. Damn, man. I hope to one day be buried
graveyard
in a graveyard / pumpkin patch.
I laughed at it, and I laughed at it in the movie, but then I was thinking about it very distracted in my head, and I was like, though, pumpkin patch on a graveyard, those would probably be really good pumpkins. Now, this is a little bit morbid.
Okay.
But because I now have a tiny garden and I started growing pumpkins, they did not. Nothing happened there. Please don't ask for evidence. We planted them too late in the season. I got lots of pumpkin flowers. No pumpkins. But pumpkins need soil that's high in nitrogen.
Okay.
And do you know what
Dead,
else is high in
dead bodies, I assume?
nitrogen? Blood and bones and human urine.
Oh, good.
I was reading, like, how do you increase the nitrogen in your soil naturally? And there was like,
just pee on it?
Coffee grounds, such and
coffee
such, blood meal, bone, and human urine.
Okay.
I was like, cool. Gardeners are 100% witches.
All right, well, in the morning, I'll just empty the French press into the garden and all of that. I'll pee on it for you.
But I'm just saying, logistically, pumpkin patch / graveyard holds up.
Huh.
Look at us being botanists.
Botanists.
Oh, God.
I think I'm going to request to be buried in one of those burlap sacks.
Holding a pumpkin seed.
That's exactly it. That's what I was gonna say. I'm just gonna like request that before I even go. Be like, I've picked my suit, and it just all the pockets are just lined with pumpkin seeds.
I have it even better. You're wearing a pumpkin-colored Spider-Man outfit, and you tuck 2 pumpkin seeds in your wrist.
So what? So that when somebody digs me up, they go, "What?" Like I'm an Instagram account. Like what?
God will get a laugh.
God will get a laugh. God and anybody with X-ray vision looking through the soil.
You could have a yuck in your afterlife. You can haunt yourself, and then once the pumpkins are, 6 to 8 months later, once the pumpkins are like their full form, and you have so many vines, you could be like, ha.
Can you imagine a ghost that's haunting you? So ghosts are always just like, you need to uncover my body. I need to be laid to rest. And then as that last shovelful taking it out of the grave, you sort of just like, wait a minute. You see that it's a gag, and then you just hear, ha, ha, ha.
And that's your final business, and then you go away forever.
I just had a fucking prank that I needed to get done.
You just fade away into the ether. It is
One
complete.
Last gag. This has been Scare Tactics.
That was good.
Yeah. So Pumpkinhead, the ultimate prankster, here to get a laugh out of some shithole college kids, 20-year-olds, some youths that have accidentally but viciously murdered a child.
Yeah, that shit was dark without a supernatural being. I gotta say that there were a lot of questionably moraled people in this movie.
Well, yeah, the entire group just loads up and runs off.
Well,
as soon as that kid's hurt, we found out later, not even dead, just hurt.
Well, I assumed he was hurt, just really, really, really hurt.
Yeah, and being dead is being really, 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 really hurt.
Okay, true.
But just I don't know, the idea of leaving a injured child is even more sadistic than leaving a dead child.
Yeah, there are varying degrees of how okay each different individual person is with it. Some of them think that they're going to call help. I don't know why they didn't attempt to,
just walk out the door.
Go to the police station.
Well, I mean, he does take Joel, the shithead who's been drinking, who drives over the kids.
And is on probation.
For getting into an accident with that got another person hurt way back home, has kind of taken the group hostage. They bail out of there. They're all scared. Half the group is like, we're going to go find help.
And then the other half are like, ooh.
Yeah, ooh, things are a little, maybe nobody saw it. But yeah, he takes the keys. He knocks some people out. He locks a few of them in the closet. They're the ones that are really gonna leave to go get the cops no matter what. Basically
the final two.
Yeah, he basically ties them up. So I mean, people did try,
but they did go full I know what you did last summer on this scenario.
Yeah.
If there was a gorge, they would have whoop that poor little boy off of it.
I mean, it's interesting that even one of them just stays with the kid.
I was so surprised that he died first. That, I think, is my biggest disappointment of the whole movie, is that I wanted him to be the final youth, because he seemed to have giving exception to the two that survive. What are their names? So this is bad. You don't even know the final girl's name. You know, it's Tracy and Chris. But Steve, who he's like, I'll stay with the kid or whatever.
Yeah.
He has such a good emotional scene when Lance Henriksen comes and realizes what happened. That when he dies first, it fully takes the wind out of you.
Well, I think it fully takes it's supposed to, and it fully takes the wind out of Lance Henriksen. Like that's what makes him go like, we shouldn't do this. I've made a mistake. Like I think if he kills all the bad people first, then Lance Henriksen's just sitting at home going like, yes.
And it's the one he recognizes. And it's the one he recognizes as staying with the kid.
Yeah, still blames him for sure.
Absolutely,
but is the one person that didn't disappear.
Yeah, and I don't know if he gets the intention, apart from when Tracy's yelling at him at the end, that it was an accident.
Yeah.
And that some of them, at least, were trying to get help. Ugh.
He's been misunderstandings. Blinded by rage, blinded by grief. I mean, I don't think anybody is calling on a demonic entity in a right frame of mind.
The witch totally egged him on, too. He was like, please revive my son from the dead. And she's like, no, you don't want that. What you really want, let me tell you.
That's always my favorite, right? Like, I do not have the power to bring someone back from the dead. I can, however, bring a demonic force onto this earth to go on a murderous killing spree. Would you like that?
I did really like that.
Yeah, customers who purchased a new child also purchased vengeance.
Oh boy.
I love a good witch that's just like deep in the middle of the woods.
Oh yeah, and everybody knows about her.
Yeah, everyone knows about her. No one talks about her, but they pretend she doesn't exist. But and they do that because they know, Pet Sematary style, in a moment of darkness, they will turn to her.
Yeah,
I think that's why she's always laughing when people show up. She's like,
well, that's the greatest thing about witches is just like you're like, oh, sinner and you're evil and la la la, but then like when push comes to shove, Dark Night of the Soul, you all come knocking to her door.
Everybody comes
it's
knocking.
It's like everybody judges a witch, but when you want vengeance. Yeah, I love a witch in the woods, but the fact that the Pumpkinhead is already an urban legend, like whispered among the town, and is this thing that haunts at night. They like lock their doors, and they don't. If it's after an outsider, then they will not help them.
Yeah, well, I think even in the beginning, because we see Baby Lance witnesses someone murdered by Pumpkinhead. Murdered seems like the wrong choice of word here. Avenged? Tooketh by the Pumpkinhead. So we definitely know that it's real. That's definitely not an outsider though. Like that's got to be some local person because Dad knew him. But yeah.
Oh yeah, and he's like, I didn't done do those things, and they were like, we can't help you, man.
Yep, sorry, can't risk my family.
You done be fucked.
You done be fucked. Have you seen the claws on that pumpkin thing?
Don't get your blood on my porch.
That's probably my favorite part about Pumpkinhead is that he's
sassy.
Okay, sure, he's sassy, but he looks like he's dead and loving it. Like he's having a blast.
Oh, and he smiles.
Yo, this pump, like unlike a xenomorph, this thing's got a lot of facial expression.
This is fucking trick or treat night for him. He is living his best life.
Yeah, I just like that he, especially when I think it's Maggie, like the second girl to die.
Best moment of the whole movie.
Well, first off, because he you think Steve is tied up from a tree or something dangling in front of the cabin. When they go out and pull him down, you realize that Pumpkinhead has been on the roof, just sort of like
holding him there.
Yeah, and then he grabs Maggie by that fucking head and drags her over the top of the roof.
I have to say, Jason Voorhees don't got nothing on Pumpkinhead in terms of propping out victims.
At least he sticks around to do it himself. Is that what you're saying?
You literally have Pumpkinhead just dangling him over the door. Like you can picture his little sinister smile. He's
like, oh, they're gonna be so fucking freaked out.
This is gonna fuck them up.
But it's specifically when we see Maggie again later, and he just like lifts her up to a window and is like smearing her face on it before smashing her through the window and just leaving her there for them.
It's so good. It gives me total Salem's Lot vibes.
Oh, sure.
When the vampires are just like hanging outside the window, but it's a corpse and he's smushing her face against the glass and she's leaving blood on it and you're like, fuck, Pumpkinhead, you are a sinister fucker.
Yeah, like he's not just tossing her through the window. He's stretching it out because he knows it'll scare them. It's so rad. Like,
so good.
He really is like a golem that they've called, who's just here to fucking avenge. Like, I am going to destroy these people for you. And like, you may have immediate buyer's remorse about calling upon me to take up this dark endeavor, but I love what I do. Like, he relishes the opportunity to
total
work.
Beetlejuice. Like, he's just like, you want to get somebody out of your house? I want to get somebody out of your house.
I like to imagine that he's being called out of retirement for one last job. Like, he sees Lance Henriksen, he's like, you son of a bitch, you know?
I do love when she revives the corpse of Pumpkinhead.
Oh, and he's all like curled up in a teeny little ball.
And he's like, baby Pumpkinhead. And then he grows like one of those capsule dinosaurs. Love it.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty
fucking Pumpkinhead's got some shoulders and some hip bones. He looks like he is ready to walk the Vogue runway.
I know, you were like, look at the pelvis on that Pumpkinhead. I'm like, okay, sure. I'm mostly staring at teeth and claws. That's my thing. I fucking love his hands in this movie. His claws are which is good because there's a huge chunk of the movie where you mostly see hand instead of full Pumpkinhead.
But it's so, because he's so gangly, whenever he reaches for anything, his hand almost looks like a crescent moon, is how like it's shaped.
I like that.
And like a crescent moon on the night, and he's a pumpkin, and it's like super spook.
I used to like think that his design was strange and weird, but he is kind of like warty and jutted out like a pumpkin would
Or
be,
like
right?
his body is made of vines, and then the pumpkin is like his head is the only thing that's like the fruit.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty badass. It's just nice to have a creature movie where you see the creature the whole fucking time.
Oh, yeah. Totally
you don't get sick of
spotlighted.
it. Yeah.
I also like that he's just like breaking rules left and right, kind of following the vein of Sleepy Hollow, where he's only after who he's fated to kill or whatever, and they hide on like hollow ground or whatever. And he full out is like, watch me cross this threshold.
Nice fucking try.
And then he fucks up that cross, and you're like, wow, Pumpkinhead's really got some issues.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of like pointed God stuff in this too, right? Where there's like Lance Henriksen comes back to the witch and he's like, God damn you! And she's like, he already has. I don't know. There's
with her weird hairy chin.
Oh no! Now you need to have a warty, hairy witch. That's just what it comes down to. Her fucking long-ass fingernails, too. They look great. The line that I had almost forgotten that I just remembered is when they're, like, this is right before Maggie dies. Also, he totally carves a fucking cross into her forehead. It's pretty rad.
Because she prays!
Yeah, well, yeah, she's like, okay, guys, you sit here. I'm gonna go look for Steve. You guys pray. And then, what was it, Carol? What's her fucking name? Tracy goes into the kitchen and pulls out meat cleaver. She's like, just in case God doesn't show up. You're like, fuck yeah, Tracy.
Oh, yeah. Fucking Tracy has the line of the film.
It's the best.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead does not like God.
No, not at all.
But also not really affected by him. Because they're like, we could hide in this old church. It's cool. It's fine. And Pumpkinhead's like, fuck you, motherfuckers. And he like shoots off his AK-47. Say hello to my little friend.
Does his face change throughout the movie?
Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about this because when we realized that Lance Henriksen, we should actually say his name is Ed Harley.
Ed Harley. He
is psychically tied or supernaturally or witch spell tied to Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, like he sees the murders as they're happening.
Yes.
That's why he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to witness it happening. I didn't want to get my hands dirty.
And I think it increases as kind of we get farther into the curse because by the end of it, when Ed Harley gets cut, Pumpkinhead gets cut.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's how our finale is we have a little pumpkin death by suicide. But by the end of it, when Ed is getting more possessed by the spirit of Pumpkinhead or like the twinage of Pumpkinhead, his eyes roll back and he gets these really cool contacts and the makeup is really cool. But then you're like, is Pumpkinhead starting to look...
He looks
like
more
Lance
like
Henriksen?
Lance Henriksen, right?
Yeah,
like he's getting more facial features.
Yes.
They're becoming the same person. It's great. Like, I love that because he's the one that calls on Pumpkinhead, and it's ultimately, like, he's the one that wants vengeance, and he's essentially the one that's doing it. It's pretty great.
Yeah, and there's always something really just, I guess, pointedly perfect about committing a curse or being part of a curse and it having the ultimate price. And in this one, we find out by the final shot that Lance Henriksen is the new Pumpkinhead.
Well, yeah, I think it's like everybody who calls Pumpkinhead becomes Pumpkinhead. Like it's like when they bury Pumpkinhead, when they bury the body that we think is Pumpkinhead at the end of the movie back in the graveyard, it is 100% just like Lance Henriksen's shriveled up corpse.
And so he's gonna kind of like pay his due, and the next time he's called upon, he's gonna be Pumpkinhead.
Isn't that great? And that's so fucking rad.
Oh, it's good.
I think the thing that I really, really dig about Pumpkinhead too, and like this is like the creature in the design, is how flexible and movable he is. He doesn't just, it's not like there's there's a lot of wide shots. We get a lot of full body shots of Pumpkinhead and how he moves, and it looks rad.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that there are moments that feel a little stiff. You know, we really have to get the shot of Pumpkinhead before he falls over kind of thing.
Sure.
And there's also moments too where like when Pumpkinhead's first revealed in the cabin after he's taken, I think it's as he's taking Kim, the bad guy's girlfriend, or he's just about to, he like pokes his head in the doorway because you're like, oh, I think they were having a hard day with this prop. Like in the Jaws sense that, okay, we'll just show Pumpkinhead's head in the doorway rather than him coming all the way in.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it looks like, look who's coming to dinner.
Surprise. Yeah, it's but when that hillbilly kid, what's his name, Bunt,
I think.
Yeah, when he's hiding in the bathroom, which Pumpkinhead never really kills him. He kind of just like finds him
when he's just like, get out of my way, stop helping these people.
Yeah, he does kind of use him a little bit like bait to get Lance Henriksen out. But when Bunt is hiding in the bathroom, at first you think Pumpkinhead doesn't see him, and he's like looking around, and then he goes to leave, and like he comes back real quick and pulls back the curtain, and it's just like the motion is so fluid.
It's so fast.
It's so good, and his face is changing expression throughout it.
And he really leans in towards the camera, and you're right, that moment is so smooth.
Yeah, like, well, surprise, Stan Winston knows how to shoot a big monster is the biggest thing. Like it's a great directorial debut, but like more than anything, he knows how to make the monster look good and what he can do with it. He's not afraid to shoot it either. And you know, big fucking deal if occasionally it looks a little herky jerky. It's a goddamn movie about a monster that you dig up out of a pumpkin graveyard.
Yeah.
Like it's not Schindler's List.
I did want to talk about Bunt as a character a little bit because the first time we see him is at the grocery store, you know, where all of our main players are kind of meeting for the first time and they're all convening outside of this old dusty spot. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah, to his younger brother.
Yeah, but he's giving me the exact same vibes that Joel, who runs over Billy, does. You know what I mean? Like he's going to grow up to be this dick.
Yeah.
But he ends up being kind of a hero because he goes out even though his parents are like, no, you gotta stay in because Pumpkinhead's out there. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, I want to go see if he's real, and also I'll help them. And he does. Like, and he ends the film a hero. And I was wondering, like, oh, why are they spending so much time with this third party, this like yokel family? Mm-hmm. I guess it's so. You know, like in the Pet Sematary story, there's somebody who knows more about the witch and is like, no, you don't want to go there.
Oh, like you need somebody to deliver the Pumpkinhead story so it can continue on, is what you're saying?
Yes, and they're also the ones that tease the little boy with the Pumpkinhead legend. Mm-hmm. But I also think no, I haven't seen the sequel, but I think it's to carry on the story. Like, I believe after this that Bunt in 20 years is going to be the one that calls upon Lance Henriksen. You know what I mean? Like it's like the sins of the father kind of thing, but it's also just like the cycle of this legend is that this town is almost like fated to never learn from their mistakes. It's like the whole town is cursed by Pumpkinhead.
I mean, the same is true about something like Pet Sematary. Like everybody who lives there knows how bad it is and not to go anywhere near it. But
yet
it's
people keep reanimating the corpses of their loved ones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love when he showed up, or at least when he was giving Lance Henriksen directions to the old witch's house. You were like, there are too many agents of chaos in this movie. Everyone's an agent of chaos.
Yeah, like we hadn't even gotten to Pumpkinhead yet, and just the inner drama of the teenagers trying to figure out what the fuck they're gonna do. Well, as far as they know, that kid is still dying in the dust.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't call, I'm in probation. Like, you're just like, fuck, somebody just, like, leave by foot. It's frustrating.
But it's a surprise this movie hasn't been remade yet. I mean, you were saying that, like, it's amazing they haven't done a Halloween Horror Nights.
They have to have, because that fucking swamp.
Just like walking through a pumpkin patch? Like you go in through the witch's house and shit?
I'm just thinking like you're on all of these little rickety bridges over like shallow water and fucking Pumpkinhead is chasing you. I
love it. That sounds amazing.
There's nothing you can do. Like you just have to keep going along this fucking bridge.
He's so big.
He is so big.
Yeah. I love a monster who's got strong shoulders.
You were making fun of me talking about his hips, and you're like, Pumpkinhead.
Those like, and maybe it's just because the title of the sequel is Blood Wings. Every time I see it, I think it's like he should have wings, or somebody's like cropped
He's definitely
his wings.
Quarterback at the pumpkin patch.
It's nice that we're finally covering movies that have a pumpkin patch. Like, this has a real fall feel, and maybe it's just because he's a pumpkin monster. But we are finally into fall season. It is feeling like Halloween is right around the corner.
Yeah, I feel like there aren't enough, like, Halloween season horror movies that just evoke the season of Halloween.
It's like we're not dealing with trick-or-treaters, but yeah, it's fall.
This one, we're dealing with folklore, and we have a pumpkin patch, which is a plus.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, because that's what Halloween is. It's a bastardized amalgamation of all of these different traditions and religions and how everybody celebrates this strange night that seems to kind of mirror itself across cultures. And to do something that's not necessarily like modern day, like trick or treat Michael Myers is fun, and I don't think it's utilized enough.
Yeah, right. Original content, original IP. It was rad of them to just come out and make a new monster. I love a new monster, and like they should really remake this, or at least make a new one. Like you don't have to remake it.
Yeah, just what are they calling them now? We're like requels.
Yeah, sure.
So something interesting I read today while I was looking up the film is that Pumpkinhead was based on a poem.
No shit.
Yeah. Would you like me to read you the poem?
Please.
As per, festiving it up, spooking it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is written by Ed Justin, and it's called Pumpkinhead. Keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living. His enemies are mostly dead. He's mean and unforgiving. Laugh at him and you're undone, but in some dreadful fashion. Vengeance he considers fun and plans it with a passion. Time will not erase or blot a plot that he is brewing. It's when you think that he's forgot, he'll conjure your undoing.
Rad.
Bolted doors and windows barred, guard dogs prowling in the yard. Won't protect you in your bed, nothing will. From Pumpkinhead.
That's amazing.
Right?
When did that come out?
I don't know. That's such a good little legend.
Yeah.
That's all you fucking need. And you're just like, fuck, I'm going to bed early this Halloween.
Right? That's like one of those 30-second horror stories. We've got a book of those where it's like each story you can read in about 30 seconds, and a lot of them are fucking scary.
Oh.
That's a rad poem. You should close out the rest of every podcast from now until the end of Halloween with a poem.
With a spooky poem?
Can I charge you with that? Can you do that? You don't have to do that, but that would be very fun.
I mean, if Children of the Corn is also from a poem, then yes.
Oh yeah, surprise. We're talking about Children of the Corn next week.
Oh yeah, we're getting fall Festivus up in here.
That's right, yeah. Samhain scares, is that what you said? Samhain scares, my mistake. I just phonetically pronounced it.
Is there a moment from Pumpkinhead that we have? Oh, I know the moment. We were talking about how Pumpkinhead is super sassy. One of my favorite super sassy Pumpkinhead moments is when I think it's Chris goes to get on the motorbike to escape, because we learn that.
Oh yes,
we learn that Pumpkinhead has flipped the truck at some point.
Yeah. But there's one bike he forgot to destroy,
and it won't start. And Pumpkinhead Pumpkinhead shows up and he's holding like the gear chain.
Oh man, it's even worse that it does start up, but it doesn't go anywhere because
fuck.
the chain is there. So it's like he really knew how to fuck with them.
Oh, and the fact that he hung on to it and he was like, this is gonna fucking fuck with them.
He's like, you gotta give them hope. It's extra delicious when they have hope.
They're tastier with hope.
So Kim, how are you rating Pumpkinhead? Me personally, I'm giving it a 3 out of 4.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 4.
Shit.
It's got the fall bump. It's just
It's got that sad dad half-star bump.
That sad dad bump. Yeah, I fucking cried like a baby. But a Halloween movie that is different from the pack.
That's true. Yeah, like it's not just like, oh, some kids go trick-or-treating and discover a ghost or
yeah,
there's a
and
serial
I
killer.
love those movies.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with those. Those are great.
And I will always say that there's never enough Halloween movies. Trick-or-treat movies are none.
Yeah.
But this one just feels timeless in a way.
I like it. Yeah, it's a sweet little urban legend monster movie. But that's just our opinion. Let us know what you thought of Stan Winston's Pumpkinhead. Hit us up on Twitter at NOFS Podcast or in the Nightmare on Film Street Discord at nofspodcast.com/Discord.
If you're a fan of Nightmare on Film Street and you want even more content, consider supporting us on Patreon at nofspodcast.com/Fiend Club. We have a little fan club over there we call the Fiend Club, where we release bonus episodes, content, and have watch parties and all kinds of fun stuff. It's a few bucks a month, and we try to release stuff, a couple times a month. So it's always a party over there. Please join us, nofspodcast.com/Fiend Club. And if you want to support Nightmare on Film Street for free, that is totally cool too. Please just leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening to this. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, it helps us so much.
We'll be back soon talking about Children of the Corn, but until then, I'm John.
I'm Kim.
Stay creepy.
And watch Pumpkinhead.
It appears you made it out alive, but we'll get you next time. Help us to grow the horde. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you subscribe. More terror can be found lurking on our website, nofspodcast.com. Until next time, stay creepy, fiends.